All right, friends, let's talk about how to stop overeating. Okay, I don't know what that intro was, but let's talk about how to stop binging. Hopefully, I can say that and not get restricted. I don't know how YouTube is with this, but I know there's a like my Instagram got a strike or whatever for posting about this, even though I made like 100 posts. So I don't know what happened, but anyways, I'm this could be this could be fucking 2 hours long. I don't know. I have a lot of fucking info on these slides here, but even then, I know I'm gonna go off on like a million different tangents and stories about myself and some of the people I work with, etc. But I know this is an incredibly large problem. Whether you well, I'll get into that in a second, but hopefully this video will be one of the last videos you ever have to watch about this, or one of the last things you ever have to consume, and you can actually figure out how to fucking get over this, because I know how big of a problem it is, and I'm going to talk about that in a second here. Okay, every single time that shit. Here we go. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start taking Reddit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. That was a shitty attempt at a joke. First of all, though, if you really have a problem with this, I strongly encourage you to seek help. Just talk to somebody. You don't have to necessarily like go to a therapist or a specialist in this sort of thing or anything like that. I know how scary that can sound, and maybe don't start with that. Maybe don't throw yourself in the deep end in that sense. Maybe just tell somebody. Just talk to your mom or your closest friend or someone that you trust. Maybe people online. My DMs are open if you guys ever want to talk about this kind of thing. My DMs are open. Happy to talk to you guys about this. Try to help you out. I think the first step to getting over the shit, like, it sounds corny because it's cliche. A lot of problems. This is the case. People will say like, you just got to tell somebody, you got to talk about it, you got to get it off your chest type shit. But it's true, man. It's true. This is an extremely lonely feeling problem. It's like embarrassing. Like you think nobody's gonna get it, and most people won't. Unfortunately, a lot of people won't. A lot of people will see this and like they'll tell them about it, and they'll be like, "Dude, why'd you stop eating?" And like I remember literally a couple years ago, it was our freshman year. One of my friends at a different school, like we went to high school together. He's like my best friend. He was telling me that he was struggling with this, and at the time I had no idea this was even a thing. And I was like, he would tell me that he would just sit in the dining hall for hours and just like, I don't know if it was hours, but he would just get plate after plate and just like stuff his fucking face. And I'm like, dude, just leave. Like, just stop eating. What are you doing? And then a couple years later, of course, then I started to deal with this. And then I realized, fuck, man, like, first of all, I was a dick to him and I didn't realize. I mean, I wasn't trying to be a dick, obviously, but I just didn't realize. I didn't understand. But then I realized how big of a problem this is and how complicated it is and all that shit, which we're going to get into, don't worry. But just talk to somebody. Hopefully you can find somebody that understands. Like I said, my DMs are open if you want to talk. But just talk to somebody. And if you really struggle with this, if you really feel like you have a disorder here, then I strongly recommend you see a therapist, you see a specialist, you do whatever you have to do, because the longer you try to do it yourself, the worse the deeper the hole you're digging yourself in, and the worse it's going to get realistically, the more you're going to suffer. Nobody wants to do this. Like I was saying, this shit's already lonely enough, like you try to hide it from everybody, and you feel like nobody would understand, and nobody knows that you're going through it, and like, it's already lonely enough, so just seek help, please. Can't stress that enough. Seek help. You're not weak to seek help. If anything, it's more weak to let your ego get in the way and keep you from seeking help because you're scared to be embarrassed or to whatever it might be. It's all your ego holding you back. So if anything, that's more weak than putting your ego aside and seeking help. So yeah, now that we got that out of the way, we have to address what actually binging versus overeating is. Again, I don't know if I can even say that word on here, but I really hope I can, because if I record this for like 2 hours and it gets taken down, then I'm going to be very upset. But regardless, there's a difference between these two. So there's overeating. That's maybe you go a couple hundred calories over, or maybe even like 1,000 or a couple thousand even. There's that, and let's say that's like an occasional thing. Maybe, I don't know, you're just really hungry and you overeat a little bit. Everyone does that. Everybody does that. That's completely normal. Then you have binging, which is when you eat until you are uncomfortably full. Like, we're talking thousands and thousands of calories in one sitting of like anything you can get your hands on. Like, everything's going in your mouth. Maybe even some people will do other things that I don't really want to talk about on here, because again, I don't know if I can, but let's just say they'll do things to get themselves to be able to eat even more after that. And it's just like, there's levels to it, and it's arbitrary, like what you want to define as overeating versus that. But you can kind of tell the difference. And if you struggle with this, then you know the difference. Like, I still overeat sometimes, and I still struggle with the other things sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I'll talk about that in a second. But like, the overeating thing is way more common, and it's like, it's very important that you draw a distinction here, though, because if you start to confuse the two and you think like if you go 100 calories over your calorie goal that you did this, like, no, dude, that's gonna fuck you up. Like, you're gonna inflate the problem way more than it actually is, and focus way more on it, and just all kinds of problems are gonna arise from that. So please move away from that. Make this distinction, and yeah, just make that distinction. And I don't really know where I was going with that, but I'm sure I'm going to touch on this again and again, so we'll just keep going. We'll keep going. But the first thing you're going to do to solve this problem is you're going to figure out the root cause. This is what I do with every client who comes to me who's struggling with this, every person who DMs me who's struggling with this, etc. we address the root cause. So unfortunately, this is a very complicated topic. There's so many different things. Like you could have an actual disorder where like there's just all kinds of things going on. It could just be an emotional eating thing. Maybe you eat when you're stressed and that makes you want to binge eat, and maybe it's that sort of thing. Maybe you've just been in a deficit for too long, or maybe like you'll hear about this oftentimes when somebody does a bodybuilding show, for example, afterwards, like they just restricted themselves, ate like no calories, no nothing for fucking weeks on end, like 20 weeks up to sometimes even more sometimes, to get as lean as humanly possible. And then after the show, they're able to now finally enjoy themselves, and they just all hell breaks loose. Like they develop really disordered eating and this problem. And so it could be that thing. It could be that you were in a deficit for too long, or too big of a deficit, trying to go too aggressive. Maybe you're too lean even. I don't think that's probably not the problem for you unless you're a bodybuilder. Most people are not at that level of leanness, but I mean, even then that's subjective. And to some people, like your food noise generally is going to be higher the leaner you get, because you're going to be eating less for one, but you're also just, your body's going to try to get you to basically not change and basically go back to like there's this set point theory where you have like a set weight. I don't want to get into all that. I need to try to condense this as much as possible, because I can literally go on tangents about every single thing in here for hours, and I'm going to run out of fucking steam here if I don't stop yapping. But basically, it could be that. That's a very common cause, is just being in a deficit for too long, or trying to go too aggressive. That's how my whole shit started, at least partly. That's definitely a big reason why it started. I'll tell you real quick, I guess my story here. This is kind of vulnerable. I don't like to talk about this, but I guess I got to practice what I preach. So last year, it's 2026 now. Last year, I was like pretty fat. I was like bulked up, and I'd kind of been like that for years. Kind of never really was lean, because I was bulking forever, and I thought that was the way. And whole other story. But I was like peak bulk. I was like 195 maybe, I think, at my most, which is a fucking lot for me. And around this time last year, it was literally January to March, I did a cut. It was somewhat aggressive. I lost like over 20 pounds in like 8 weeks, which is pretty aggressive. But it wasn't anything that crazy in terms of calories, just because I was so fat and I hadn't really cut before, and I was kind of like bulking for as long as I can remember. So it was honestly like a fucking refresher to be able to like to not have to force myself to eat. It was the opposite. So it was actually kind of cool. And I got lean, and I fell in love with like how lean I was, and that's when I started posting as well. And obviously my physique is literally my brand. It's very important. So like my self-image and everything is very important, and that's kind of dude, I can talk about this for so long, but that's kind of how like why this is a problem for me, is because like that's just such a big thing in my head, and like tracking my calories and being on top of that and all that stuff is just like I put so much weight on it that it eventually backfired. And basically I got lean, and I got obsessed with being lean. I was doing fine. I was maintaining it for like months with no problems at all. I was enjoying life, like eating good, like everything was going really well. I was staying really lean. I mean, not that lean, but really lean for me, and I was feeling good. And then something changed. Like I overate a little bit one night, and I was like, this whole time after this cut, I didn't get as lean as I wanted to, but I ended the cut because I just went on for too long. I didn't want to do it anymore, basically, long story short. But I kind of always had this in the back of my head, like, I want to get a little bit leaner. I want to cut again. And I remember I overate one day at fucking Texas Roadhouse with my friend. I had like fucking 8 rolls and like however much else other shit. It was a lot of fucking food, and I was like, I just felt like sick. I wouldn't call it a binge, but it was overeating, for sure, obviously. But I remember that's when I was like, all right, fuck it. Let me just cut now, because I've been wanting to do it, and it's like peak summertime. I really want to be fucking shredded. So I decided to do another aggressive cut this time. I think it was like 4 weeks, but it was more aggressive. It was like, I think it was like 1,800 calories maybe. I don't remember how aggressive I ended up going, but it was quite aggressive. And I ended up doing that for too long. I was doing like 20,000 steps a day as well, and cardio and all these things. And at the end of that, again, that whole cut went perfectly. I was insanely disciplined. I've always been somebody that's so disciplined and like is like so good with their diet, never cheats, nothing like that. But after this fucking cut, something changed, man. Something changed. I think I just spent too much time in a deficit and like too much time restricting myself and all this stuff. And eventually I just couldn't get full of any amount of food. I was always hungry. My food noise was through the roof. And I remember one night, like the first night that I actually like binged it was just like a random night. I think it was maybe like 11 o'clock at night. I think everyone was asleep, and I just went in the kitchen, and I was just eating like everything I can get my hands on in there. I think it was the day that I ended the cut, and I just decided to let all hell break loose. And next thing I knew, I was uncomfortable, like felt like I was gonna throw up from how much I ate. And then that happened again, and I don't remember the exact timeline in terms of like how often it would happen after that, but I know it happened a couple times after that, and it became a problem. And let's just say I was kind of stuck in that like binge, restrict, repeat cycle. And eventually I stupidly did another cut, and I think it was September of this past, like a couple months ago. I did another cut because I had put on some fat, and again, I was obsessed with being lean, and I felt like I had to be at a certain level of body fat. and I put on like a tiny bit of body fat, not even significant amount at all really. It was like maybe like fucking 4 pounds. I don't even know, but that I did another aggressive deficit again, like 1,800 calories for 4 weeks. Like this time was fucking hell. Like brain fog, fatigue, like everything was through the roof. It was brutal. And again, I finished the cut. I got through it really well. I don't think I really struggled at all during the cut. Maybe a little bit actually, but afterwards, then that's when the problem really fucking started, and I really, like, this really became a problem for me. I really fucking developed like a pretty bad, I don't even know what to call it, but it was pretty bad. I don't remember how often it was happening, but maybe once a week at least, like pretty bad binge, and then literally like restrict myself OD for the whole week, and then do it again, and I was just stuck in that cycle for a long time. And it's still a struggle now. I still get the urges and stuff, and I'm going to talk about that, but I just want to give you a little rundown and talk about it a little bit there. But let me talk about how to actually help you guys out here. So you have to find the root cause first. For me, it was a million things, but it was being in a deficit for too long, going too aggressive, restricting myself too much, putting too much emphasis and weight on like my calories and being a certain level of body fat and my body image. It was also an emotional thing, like super stressed all the time. Last semester was the hardest I've ever worked, the most stressed I've ever been. Like somewhat going through a breakup that happened in the summer, but I feel like it kind of hit me last semester. Hopefully Shorty isn't watching this, but anyways, that fucked me up a little bit for sure. Just like, I don't want to go into all that, but there was definitely an emotional side to it for sure. It was like, I wasn't getting dopamine from other areas of my life. Like I wasn't really hanging out with friends. I wasn't really doing much. My business was doing better than it was now. A lot better than it is now, I should say. So that was exciting. At least I had that. But like other areas of my life, there wasn't too much dopamine. So I was using food for that. And yeah, now that we got that out of the way. Jeez, fucking yap. I gotta fucking put that bitch in 2 times speed for you guys. But let's talk about what we do here. So we found the root cause. Now, another thing that we're gonna do when starting out is we're gonna change your fucking identity. This is what keeps you in this cycle forever, is you call yourself a binge eater. You call yourself an overeater. You tell yourself that you can't control yourself, that this is something that you are. Like, you're a fat person, you are an overeater. That's the identity, the story that you tell yourself. And so everything that you do subconsciously is gonna try to prove that story true. You're gonna overeat to try to prove that story true and reinforce that identity, whether you realize it or not. And same thing with this. When you call yourself a binge eater, you are just fucking yourself over. You're gonna have like one piece of whatever food that you really like a cookie, and you're gonna tell yourself like, I'm a binge eater, I can't control myself. The second you get the dopamine hit, and you're gonna just let all hell break loose. Versus if you realize that you are not a binge eater, you are in control, then you can have a cookie and realize, all right, I'm satisfied, I can stop here. And we'll get into that later, but you have to first make this identity shift. Something that I have some of my clients do who struggle with this is literally, and what I do is I'll literally have them fucking write down on a piece of paper, like whether it's every morning or once a week or whatever, I'll literally have them write on a piece of paper like, I am in control of my food. You can say I'm not a binge eater. I don't like that because I feel like it puts more like emphasis on the problem, and I feel like when you focus so much on the problem, it makes it worse. But I'll try to be mostly positive is the point. So I'll be like, I am in control. I can follow the plan. I am disciplined. I am whatever fits your specific scenario. The main one is I am in control of my food. And this is something that I tell my clients every single check-in. I do check-ins like this with a loom. This is what I'm using to record this, like this little fucking screen recording thing. We'll go over like shit from the week, problems that came up when they had urges, whatever. Every time I fucking tell them, like, I remind them, you're in control. Nobody's making you eat food. Nobody's making you do anything. Nobody is putting food in your hand and putting it in your fucking mouth, bending your elbow. Nobody's doing that but you. So even if it feels like you're not in control and it feels like something else is taking over, like your binge brain or something, you're in control, man. Nobody else is doing that. And something that I constantly remind people is, if you feel like you're not in control, let me ask you this. Have you ever in your life ever gone a single day where you didn't overeat, where you did follow the plan? Whether that was a couple years ago or fucking yesterday or today, like, have you ever in your life done that? Yes, you have, unless you're like, you've done that. There's no exceptions. You've done that at least once. And most likely the majority of your days have been in your control. So you are in control, and you've proven that to yourself already. So just act like it and make this identity shift. You have to see yourself as this person already, whether you are like, you're still going to struggle with this and it's going to feel like you're not there yet. And like, that's a person, like a version of you in the future. No, you have to already step into those shoes and already become that person, even if you're not actually there technically yet. I can make a separate video about that whole topic, this identity shift thing. You guys probably hear me talk about this all the time. I'm still trying to figure out how to articulate these thoughts, because this is such an important thing, but it's just hard for me to articulate what I'm trying to say with this whole identity thing, because it's kind of like wishy-washy. Like it sounds wishy-washy, but it's not. It's so real. But regardless, make this identity shift. Then we're gonna handle your external factors. So we're gonna make sure you're sleeping good. For me, that's another root cause. Is my sleep is fucked, and that affects every area of my life. Your hunger signals are gonna be higher. Like your ghrelin is gonna be elevated. Your leptin is gonna be downregulated. Leptin makes you full. Ghrelin makes you hungry. So you're gonna be hungrier, in simple terms, and you're gonna have less willpower. You're gonna make worse decisions, etc., etc. You're also gonna be more emotional and all these different things. So get your sleep in check, please. Also, same thing with your stress. Try to manage your stress as best as possible. If you're somebody who leans on food to relieve stress, especially, then you're fucked if you don't get that in check, or if you don't find another way to cope with that stress, which you must do. Same thing with any kind of emotion, whatever it is for you, if it's sadness, if it's loneliness, whatever. Food filling that void or making it seem like it fills that void for 5 minutes, I promise you is not worth it, and it's not actually doing anything for you. It's only making things worse. It's only going to make that void even bigger. So you need to first bridge that gap and understand that. But you also need to get these things in check. You have to find other ways to manage your emotions, to manage your stress, other ways to get dopamine, like other things that make you happy, that light you up, whatever it is, man. Like until you get these things in check, then this problem is kind of like, it's kind of always going to be there. So I really want you to emphasize this. People overlook this, and they try to look at like their nutrition and stuff, which I'll talk about in a second, but they try to look too much into that and just like their willpower and their mindset and all this stuff. And obviously that's all super important, but if you don't have these things in check, then you're just fucked. Like you're fucked. And who wouldn't want to get these things in check? You know what I mean? Sorry, I had to have a little water break there. But anyways, get those things in check. Again, I could talk about all these things in so much depth, so I'm just trying to keep it as short as possible. But hopefully this is still really valuable for you guys. Don't worry, there's a ton more valuable stuff coming. This is just like the laying the foundation. But we want to make sure you're getting like your nutrition's good. You're getting enough calories and you're actually fueling yourself, enough micronutrients, protein, fiber, like making good food choices, like anything that you would do while cutting. Watch my other videos on like how to deal with hunger, how to stay lean year round, etc. For more in depth about this. But I'm assuming that you already have this in check. Your eating habits as well. Like, are you eating while watching or while doom scrolling and just like getting that multi-stimulation and not actually eating slowly and focusing on your food and enjoying it? That can be a problem. Is a problem for sure. There's a million things there. Maybe you're just not. Maybe you're fasting for too long and then you let yourself get too hungry. You're not using the hunger scale and trying to stay in the middle of it and not letting yourself get ravenous, because then everything goes out the window, or whatever it is. It could be a million things, but you have to get those habits in place as well. Make sure you're actually eating enough protein, enough fiber, enough volume, enough micronutrients, etc., etc., etc. Your habits are in place. You're sleeping, you're managing your stress, your emotions, everything, other areas of your life. You have all that stuff in check. Get that in check first, then worry about these other things. So let's talk about what to do if you do binge, if you do overeat. Again, you have to make that distinction between the two. But let's just say either one, you can kind of apply this. Either way, you can apply this. But first thing, we got to break the cycle, man. You just got to break the cycle. You got to do it once. I ask my clients after this happens, when they're stuck in a rut with this, like it's happening every day, whatever. I ask them, just give me one day. Just give me one day where you eat good, you follow the plan, you don't overeat, you don't binge. Just give me one day. That's all I ask. Even if you fuck up the next day and you do it again, I don't care. That's what I tell them. I don't care if you fuck up the next day. All I ask is you give me one day where you lock in and you're able to control yourself, and you're able to reinforce that idea that you are in control, and prove to yourself that you are, and stack more evidence that you are in control of yourself, and that like you're not a binge eater, etc. So that's what I ask every time. And some of the most common mistakes people make here is, hold on. Sorry, I'm fucking cocked. I just had a pretty big meal, so I'm fucking getting a little sugar crash right now. I'm feeling it. But anyways, so people will overeat, and obviously the next day you want to then restrict yourself. You want to fast the whole day or fast for multiple hours and not eat anything, or eat extremely low calories and try to reverse the damage that you just made, right? No, you can't reverse the damage you just made. The damage is done. The only thing you can do now is prevent more of it in the future, prevent more binges in the future. And the way that you do that is by getting back on plan and not restricting yourself. Because, and this is a very important thing, what happens is you binge, you feel horrible about it, emotionally, physically, etc. Then you restrict yourself, and then you feel even worse because you're then suffering, you're hungry, you're abstaining from food, you're not giving yourself any dopamine from that, even if it's just like boring food, whatever. Like obviously we're meant to eat as humans, so you're restricting yourself from that. You're gonna feel bad about that as well. You're gonna feel more stressed about everything, emotions even worse, and then eventually you just break and you binge again because you let yourself get so hungry because you're restricting yourself, and you let yourself get so fucked up mentally because you are restricting yourself, and then you're just stuck in that process again and again and again, stuck in that cycle forever. So you must the next day just get back on plan. Just eat whatever you would normally eat. I know for me, if it's really bad, you're probably not going to have any appetite. And in that case, I wouldn't necessarily force yourself to eat like your normal breakfast. Maybe if you're really not hungry, just push it back a little bit, but don't fast the entire day. Don't do anything stupid like that. Get back on plan. If you have to push back your meal a little bit, that's fine. As long as you're being smart about it, you're not fasting, you're not like really fucking yourself over and letting yourself get super hungry and all these things. So just be smart about that, please. And I say that with a lot of caution. But in an ideal world, you will just get back on plan. You'll eat like you normally would have. Like if you had your meals planned, if you're somebody who follows a specific meal plan, you eat the same things every day, whatever it is, just do that. Or in some cases you can and there's another thing, maybe the calorie tracking and all that stuff and trying to eat so perfect is, and I'm going to talk about that even more in a little bit, maybe that's one of your root causes. If that's the case, then just stop doing that. Stop tracking your calories. Stop giving that so much weight and stressing so much about that. Just eat whatever you're hungry for. It's some good advice I've seen from some people online. There's this one guy, I forget his name, but he's the man with this kind of thing. But he says just eat what you're hungry for. Basically, if you're craving something, whatever, let yourself have it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be super strict. Anything like that. All those things are just gonna inflate this problem and make it worse. Eat what you're hungry for. Eat whatever you want. I say that with caution again. It doesn't mean literally eat. If you're tempted to binge, it doesn't mean do that necessarily. Obviously not. But hopefully you understand what I mean by that. If not, you guys can ask questions in the comments as well or DM me, whatever. But I don't want to talk about it for too much longer. It's already 27 minutes in. Jeez, bro. But just get back on plan. Long story short, and then figure out why it happened. What you can learn from it. Did I let myself get too hungry and I came home starving from work after being stressed and I just let the floodgates run loose and I had too much stuff in my house and that fucked me over? Is that it? If so, you can learn from that. You can learn to bring food with you next time to work, or have meals prepared for when you get home and don't have a bunch of junk laying around, etc., and manage your emotions better. That way you can avoid this. So you do definitely want to think about it in that sense and learn from it. Some people even recommend to journal, and I think that is a good practice. I journal every night. And I will talk about this. After it happens, I'll write about why it happened or whatever if I feel like I want to. But that is something that I would encourage you to do as well. Journal the next morning, the next day, whatever. What was going through my head, what happened, why did it happen, etc. What can you learn from it, and then just actually learn from it moving forward and learn from your mistakes and don't repeat them. But after that, just forget about it, man. Because like I was saying before, when you have this idea I just binged last night, you stress about it so much, and then you want to restrict yourself and all these things, you're fucking yourself over. Just try to forget about it. I know it's almost impossible. Try to forget about it. Literally tell yourself I didn't binge last night. I didn't binge. It didn't happen. And just act like it didn't happen. Get back on plan. That's the best thing you can do. After you've obviously thought about it at least and try to learn from it. But after that, forget about it. It didn't fucking happen. Put it in the mental trash. Get it out. Throw it out the window. Whatever you got to do. Get rid of that shit. It didn't happen. The more you stress about it, the more you tell yourself I binged last night. I gotta restrict myself today. I gotta eat 1,000 calories. No, dude, stop yourself right there. All right. So break that fucking cycle. All you need is one day to break that cycle, and you're gonna build momentum from that. And a couple days stack. Next thing you know, you're gone weeks or months without doing this shit, and you're like, holy fuck. That's why I ask you to just give me one day. Just break the cycle for one day. Just stop restricting yourself like crazy and basically setting yourself up to binge. Stop doing that. And yeah. Now, what do you do when you get the urge? There's another very important thing. And I could talk about this for an hour. I can make a separate video about this specifically, but you're going to let it pass. First of all, you're going to understand that an urge is an emotion. It's multiple emotions. And you should treat it as such. You should sit with the urge and actually process it. Don't just try to necessarily just throw it away and run from it. That can be good advice, and that is something that I do partly. That's good advice if any of you guys are Christians. There's scripture, I believe it's James. I forget which chapter it is. It might be 5. Book of James is one of my favorite books. I should know this. I should memorize this. But it's resist the devil and he will flee from you. Draw near to the Lord and he will draw near to you. Basically, even if you don't believe in this, you can view this as your binge brain versus your normal brain or whatever you want, however you want to view it. But I try to just, like it says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. So, and also there's more scripture about running from lust. I forget exactly what it is, but basically it says just run from lust. You can't defeat it on your own, so just run from it. That's where I'm trying to go with this, is that I will literally just when these thoughts come up, whether it's lust, whether it's thinking about food, I'll just try to not even think about it. I won't even fantasize about going to the store and eating this shit or whatever. I'll just try to, out of sight, out of mind, get it out of here. I don't even want to think about it. The less I think about it, the less likely I'm going to be to fucking give into it. But this is kind of contradictory, but I try to do that, but I also, when I really get the urge, I try to sit with it and I try to process it as an emotion. I ask myself, why do I think I'm getting this urge right now? Is it that I had a shit day and I'm stressed out, or I feel bad and I'm looking for relief from food? Or maybe I saw something online, like, I don't fucking know, whatever it is. Or maybe I'm just really hungry and I'm mistaking that with the urge to binge when I'm just hungry and I want food. Whatever it is, try to figure out why you're getting this urge. And then, like an emotion, you shouldn't necessarily just try to brush emotions off. You should try to sit with them and let yourself feel those emotions, man. Again, it's a whole other thing I talk about, but let that shit pass, because the thing here that you need to understand is that the urge is going to pass regardless. Whether you give into it or not, it's going to pass. And you can either give into that shit and get some relief temporarily, like you don't have that urge anymore, but then you have what's way worse is that regret afterwards, where you feel horrible about yourself mentally, physically. You feel fucking disgustingly full. You feel like you're going to throw up. You look bloated. You look like shit. Maybe you break out. You look fat. You hate the way you look. You feel horrible. Maybe you sleep like shit and you have no energy. You feel fucking dehydrated, whatever it is. All these horrible negative things. You can either feel like that, or you can let that shit pass and feel obviously feel uncomfortable when you're sitting through that shit because it's uncomfortable. But then you feel great about it afterwards because you fucking sat through it and you didn't give in. And you then get dopamine from the fact that you sat through it and you actually were in control and you acted like it and you fucking stuck to the plan and you did the things that align with your goals and you are getting yourself closer and closer to getting over this. And so the choice is yours. It's yours to make every single time. You can either do what seems like the right thing to do in the moment, which is to just get some relief from this fucking crazy discomfort, this crazy urge, and kind of just like give into it and give your nervous system some relief for fucking 5 seconds, maybe like 10 minutes of dopamine max, and then feel fucking awful afterwards. Or you can sit through that discomfort and let it pass however long it's going to take. Maybe it's a couple minutes, maybe it's a couple hours or a day, whatever, and then feel fucking awesome about the fact that you sat through it and that you're proving to yourself that you are the person you say you are. You are this person that is in control, that is not a binge eater, that does stick to the plan, that is disciplined, etc. So the choice is yours. And again, think about how you're going to feel after. Do you want to feel horrible afterwards, or do you want to feel fucking great about the fact that you didn't do it afterwards? The choice is yours. So again, I could talk about this topic of what to do when you get the urge forever. If you want another video about this, let me know. But yeah, if I think of anything else, I'll definitely touch on it. But yeah, so it's about some mindset shifts we want to make. So I kind of bunched some things together here because I can only do 10 slides on this gamma, the AI thing that makes the PowerPoints. I had like 13, I think, originally in my notes. All rough because I know I'm just going to go on tangents about all this shit. Anyways, so some mindset shifts we have to make. So another main cause of binging is just this all or nothing mindset. And I've made so many fucking short form videos about this, and I'm honestly tired of talking about it, to be honest with you, but I'll try to touch on it here. But going along with that is this scarcity versus abundance mindset. And what this means basically, if you've never heard that, is basically you're viewing food as a scarce resource. You're viewing it as like, I have to binge on this food now because I can never have it again moving forward, because I've put this rule for myself that I can't eat Oreos, let's say. Like, that's one of the foods that I crave, I guess. Like, I think cookies in general is probably my weakness for whatever reason. I fucking love cookies, but like, let's say I put that rule for myself, that restriction that I can't eat cookies. So the second that I have one, I'm just going to be 1,000 times more likely to want to say, fuck it. Like, I already had one. Let me just get it all out of my system because I can never have them again moving forward, starting tomorrow or starting in a couple hours or whatever the fuck. And that's what leads you to fucking binge, because you tell yourself, I can never have this shit again. Or like, you start to view it like this food is going somewhere, like someone's going to take this from me, like acting as if these foods aren't in the grocery store all the time, every single time that you're there, or like a certain fucking menu item isn't there all the time. I don't know, maybe it's not, but even then, like, you have to stop viewing it from a scarcity point of view, viewing it as a scarce resource. Like, hopefully that idea makes sense, and start viewing it as an abundant thing, because it is an abundance. Hopefully you're blessed enough, if you're watching this video, you are most likely blessed enough to have an abundance of food at your disposal. And that's another thing real quick, like, you have to realize you're probably wasting your own money on food. Like, remember I had a consult with some kid, he wasn't even a kid, he was like 24, I think. And if you're watching this, shout out to you, I guess, but it was a coaching consult to try to help him with this problem. And he was basically telling me he was spending like hundreds of dollars a week or a month, I don't really remember the specifics, but it was a lot of fucking money on food, like, to binge. And yet he wouldn't spend money to let me help him. That's a whole other story, but some of you guys need a reality check. But anyways, like, if you're spending your money on this shit and you're wasting your money, like, what are you doing? Like, that's what I tell myself. I'm not saying that it's like to be like a dick or be dismissive or anything like that. I'm just trying to like set you back into reality here. Like, or like another thing that I like to talk about, and I should have put in one of these slides, is like, are you seriously going to let food control you, an inanimate object? Like, you're going to let a cookie control your life and make it feel like it's the end of the world if you have it, or like all these different things? Are you really going to fucking do that? How are you going to show up as a man for your family, for your friends, in your business, in school, at your job, How are you going to show up in these areas of your life if you can't even control yourself around food, if you're letting food control you? These are things that I literally ask myself when I'm struggling with this, and they help a lot. So I just wanted to mention that. But going back to this abundance thing, like something that I tell myself, and especially when I'm cutting, is like the food will be there tomorrow. The food will always be there. Like I was literally just at the store a couple hours ago, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really fucking tempted to get a lot of stuff because I was fucking hungry. I didn't eat before I went because I had work before, and I went straight to the grocery store. I always do that, stupidly. Don't do that. Don't go to the store hungry. Don't do what I do. But I was tempted by a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like the bakery aisle. Oh my gosh, the bakery aisle is a fucking another fucking level of temptation. But like, I wanted to get all that shit, and I tell myself like, this food will always be here, even if it feels like in the moment like I have to get this now, like. For whatever fucking reason, we make it seem like this shit's going somewhere, when in reality, it's always going to be there. It's going to be there every week. If I really fucking needed it for some reason, like, I can always just go and fucking get it if I had to. Like, you're not going to die. The food is in abundance. It's going to be there tomorrow. It's always going to be there. So start acting like that. And that's another thing you can tell yourself is, if you really have the urge, you can literally tell yourself, like, I'll binge tomorrow, or I'll overeat tomorrow, or I'll eat this specific thing tomorrow. Like, just hold off today. Just hold off today. I'll have it tomorrow. Really tell yourself that and really believe it. And you can fucking do that. If you really feel like it the next day you still want it, you can do that. Majority of the time though, you won't even want it. And that's the beauty of this, is that you delay that gratification to the next day or whatever. It doesn't have to be the next day necessarily. Maybe it's a couple hours or whatever. And most times you don't even want it the next day because it was just like a emotional in the moment thing that you wanted it, an in the moment craving. So just treat it as an abundant thing and stop setting rules and restricting yourself and telling yourself that you can't have foods or labeling foods as good or bad. These things all lead to rebellion and this scarcity mindset. It's all going to lead you to want to binge. And I can talk about all this stuff for hours. I've made so many short form videos about this, but that's a huge thing, man. Like, that's one of my root causes is trying to be perfect with my diet because I'm like, again, this is my shit. I'm the fitness guy. Like, I'm a fucking fitness coach. So I have to kind of be in good shape and eat well. And especially like I'm trying to, I focus a lot on my gut health. So like I try not to eat like any processed foods or anything like that. And when I set too many rules like that, it can get to you eventually. Like, you can only have that willpower for so long. Eventually, like I said, you'll be in a situation where your friends are having this food or whatever it is, or you inevitably have like one fucking Reese's or something, I don't know. And then that's what leads you to want to binge on it because, like I said, you never let yourself have this thing. So now it feels like you have to just have it all and get it out of your system now. Versus if you find a way to include these favorite foods, maybe you have like one Reese's every single day, that eliminates the want to binge on that thing because you literally get to have it every single day. So even if you feel like you want to have the whole thing right now, literally you get to have it tomorrow again. And like eventually you don't even, like it becomes kind of stale, or it can become kind of stale because you have it every day. If it's really your favorite food, you'll probably still enjoy it, which is great. But I'll talk more about practicing eating in moderation later on, but like that's a very important thing, is trying to find a way to include your favorite foods. And that's something that has been huge for me. Two examples of this. I love dark chocolate, any kind of chocolate. I fucking love chocolate. And that was something that I would binge on. I would get a bar of chocolate and eat the whole thing, or get multiple bars, eat the whole thing. Now, I've worked it into my diet. I literally usually I have the fucking HU, the Q, salty dark chocolate. I fucking love that shit. I just got some of that. I already have that like almost every single day, like just a little serving of it. Versus, and that basically like defeats the urge to binge on that thing because I get to have it every single day, like I'm saying. And I get to have one of my favorite foods every single day. It's like, it's awesome. It's great for enjoyment, for adherence, and it eliminates that want to go to the store and get like 5 bars and eat them all at once, like, because I literally get to eat it every day. You know what I mean? Another thing is Drizzlicious. I fucking love those. Those, I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle to control myself with those because they're literally addicting. They're so good. But like, those would be ones that I would have like the entire bag at once and feel like I can't stop myself. Versus now, I try to let myself have those like every other day, whatever it is, whatever amount works for you and your specific goals, your specific situation. I let myself have it pretty much every day, and that eliminates the want to binge on it. Some foods, it's hard to incorporate in, like cookies or ice cream, stuff like that. Even then though, you can find lower calorie alternatives. You can get Halo Top, you can get like healthier cookies, whatever that means to you, because that's fucking an arbitrary term. But like, whatever it is to you and your goals, you can find ways to work these things into your diet, man. That's the whole point. And you should find ways to incorporate these things into your diet. And you should make your meals enjoyable. And when you make your meals boring as fuck, like I talked about, you make them boring as fuck, like no excitement, no enjoyment, that makes you want to binge. That makes your food noise high as fuck. A good rule of thumb is if your food noise is really high and you're getting a ton of urges to binge, you're probably just restricting yourself too much and your diet is too boring, or your calories are too low, which In some cases, it's hard to work around. I'll talk about that in a second. Actually, it's on the slide perfectly. Perfect transition. That's another thing. Like I was saying before, maybe you're just in a deficit for too long, or in too big of or in too aggressive of a deficit. And in that case, I highly recommend you spend some time at maintenance. If you've been struggling with binging for a long time, for however long, if it's a problem at all right now, I highly recommend you just eat at maintenance for a couple of weeks. If you've been yo-yo dieting like me, like I was, and you think it's a good idea to cut the second you put on some fat, just delay that gratification. I know you feel like you have to be lean all year round, every second of the day. Delay that gratification for a couple of weeks. Just fucking eat at your maintenance for a couple of weeks. Let your hunger hormones, your psychology, your mental state, all these things come back somewhat close to normal. Establish normal good eating habits again. Like, just lock the fuck back in, chill the fuck out for a couple of weeks, eat at maintenance. Don't eat in a deficit. Again, like I was saying, when you're in a deficit all year round, your body's going to try to get you to stop doing that. It doesn't want to change. It wants to stay how it is. It wants to, if you know what homeostasis is, basically like maintaining normal levels of things like hormones, etc. Your body wants to do that at all times, basically. So anything that you do to try to change that, it's going to try to fight you on that. And being in a deficit all the time is one of those things. So you can't be in a deficit all year round. You can't be in a state of restriction all year round. It's eventually going to get to you. And I highly, highly recommend that you spend some time at maintenance. That's been one of the only ways that I've been able to start to fucking like get over this shit. Was I've spent after I did that last cut and it ended in October, like early October. Thankfully, I've been working with a coach who's kind of been keeping me accountable. If I didn't have him, who knows where I would be with all this stuff, to be honest. But like, I spent the last 6 months, maybe, I think maybe even more. I don't know how many months that is, but however many months that is at maintenance, and actually kind of in a surplus. I've been putting on a little bit of fat. Unfortunately, I've been eating a little too much. I enjoy myself a little bit too much around the holidays and stuff. But regardless, the point is that spending all this time at maintenance, around maintenance, and not being in a deficit, and actually being able to enjoy myself, which I didn't do at all the previous year, which is why I ended up in this place in the first place, has allowed me to fucking kind of recenter myself and just lock the fuck back in, basically. So I can't recommend that enough. Please do that. Please stop trying to be in a deficit all the time. Stop having this scarcity mindset, this all or nothing mindset. Stop telling yourself that you're an all or nothing person. You're not. That goes back to the identity thing. You're not a binge eater. You're not an all or nothing person. If you were an all or nothing person, then let me ask you this. Like, if you got a B on a test in middle school or high school, did you just drop out and give up? Hopefully you fucking didn't. Hopefully you fucking finished and you didn't be a fucking retard. But yeah, so you're not an all or nothing person then. If you did that, then you're not an all or nothing person. Or maybe, I don't know, were you not able to fall asleep for 30 minutes one night, so you just decided to do an all-nighter? Like, maybe you did if you're weird, but you probably don't do that. Or did you go 1 calorie over your calorie limit and decide to binge? A lot of you probably did, and that's because you're telling yourself that you have this all or nothing mindset and you're doing all these other things. But get rid of that shit. Start having the all or something mindset. Again, I don't want to talk too much about this because I've made so many fucking pieces of content about this specifically, and I can make a separate video about it, but just understand that in the moment it feels like I'll just lock in tomorrow, like I gotta get all this shit out of my system now. Every additional calorie, additional cookie or whatever, additional chip, whatever it is, that's putting you further and further away from your goals. Every single time you do that, it's putting you further and further away from your goals. It's not an all or nothing mindset. It's not a free for all. Those things are still actively fucking you over in the future, making your life harder for yourself in the future. So stop having that mindset, please. And that will solve, if you can fix this slide here, I think this might be the most important one here, honestly. If you can fix these problems and change these mindsets and do these things, that will solve like the majority of these problems, to be honest with you. But yeah, hold on here. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay, I just thought of something. So I don't think I wrote it on here. Yeah, so something else that I need to touch on here though is that like, and I should have put more emphasis on though. I know how uncomfortable it is to like when you get that urge and like how uncomfortable change in general is, but especially with this kind of thing, like it's extremely fucking uncomfortable. It's like, I know I've had some nights, especially last semester, not really anymore, but especially last semester where I would be trying to work and I literally just couldn't focus. Like literally, I don't wish this on anybody, the fucking feeling that it would be like in my head, trying to like work on a video or do homework or whatever. Literally feel like it was impossible to even think straight. Like I had to go relieve this urge and go eat. Like that's how it felt. And that's literally the devil trying to pull me out of the present moment and pull me away from God's plan for me, which is to serve you guys by helping you guys and making videos and working on my business and servicing my clients and doing well in school, etc. That's a whole nother topic, but like that's basically the point is that shit is incredibly uncomfortable, but you have to want to change more than you want to stay in this comfortable hell. People would rather be in a comfortable hell than an uncomfortable heaven is a good quote. I forget who said that, but I saw Higher Up Wellness and this other guy, they made a podcast recently, and they said that it was fucking, that shit hit home. Like, again, I can tell this for so long and I'm trying to figure out how to put these into words, but like some other thoughts, some other things that I just think all the time is like, you're just kicking the can further and further down the road every time you do this shit and you tell yourself like, after this one, like I'll really fucking lock in. I'll really stop doing it. Like I can't sit through it right now. I have to act on it. Whatever. You're just kicking the can further down the road and making your life harder and harder for yourself. You're digging yourself deeper and deeper. Like if you really want to change, you have to just wake up one day and be like, that's it. I've had enough of this. Genuinely, I will do whatever it takes to make this change because I'm tired of letting this control me. I don't want it to control me another day. I don't want to deal with this for another day, another second. And I know that I have to get uncomfortable now. I have to do the hard stuff now, and it will pay dividends in the future if I can just tough it out now. And you have to just wake up one day and make this shift and just think like this. Seriously, otherwise you'll never get over this. You'll be stuck in a cycle forever, man. You have to just wake up one day and just decide that you had enough. Like, that's it. Fuck this. I'm not letting food control me another day of my life. Fuck you. Whoever you is, fuck you. Like, get out of my head. I'm going to sit through this urge. I'm going to sit through this discomfort. I'm going to do whatever I have to do because I know that this discomfort now is worth the fucking lifetime of peace that I can have afterwards. You can either be uncomfortable now or you can be uncomfortable for fucking years in the future, like I was saying before. So you have to just make that decision, and that decision is yours to make. Every single day you have that decision to make. So every time you decide to give in to that shit, you're just making the problem worse and worse, like I said, for multiple reasons. But yeah, that's just something that I wanted to say. And I feel like I could talk about that forever, like I've said a million times, but yeah, man. And in terms of this, so you have to understand that eating in moderation is a skill. It's a skill that you've lost. You've lost the plot on this skill, unfortunately. And obviously there's a million reasons why, but basically, however long you've been binge eating, whatever, even if you've only done it like a couple times or whatever, you've conditioned your brain to do exactly that, essentially. You've conditioned your brain, like without getting into the neuroscience, like basically when you eat good food, whatever, you get a little dopamine hit, right? You've basically conditioned your brain to not be satisfied by like one dopamine hit, let's say, like an arbitrary dopamine hit that you get from like a normal meal. Now it needs fucking 10 of those, which is a binge for you, to feel satisfied, to feel like normal, whatever, to feel rewarded, whatever. So you've conditioned your brain in that way. Unfortunately, you've kind of fucked yourself over. And that's why doing this shit, the more that you do it, the more you're fucking yourself over and the harder it's going to be to get back on plan. But you have to understand that you can reverse this by just conditioning your brain the other way. Condition your brain to be like a normal fucking person again and to eat normal meals and be satisfied by them. And yeah, man, you just got to condition your brain to do that. It's going to be very hard, especially if you've been doing this for like your whole life or for years at a time. It's going to be very fucking hard, but you just have to make that distinction and understand that, and then just put it into practice if you can. I know it's very hard, but try your best. You have to understand, like I was saying, this is a skill. Like, to be able to eat one Oreo, whatever, and not eat the whole sleeve and put it back is a skill. And there's this lady online. She's fucking awesome. I don't know her fucking name, but she's on TikTok. I found her pretty recently. She talks about all this stuff. Basically, like I was saying before, you can either be disappointed now by the fact that you're putting the food back and you're not eating the whole thing, you're not getting that satisfaction, and maybe you only got to eat one, you only scratched that itch a little bit, you can't fully scratch that itch. You can be disappointed by that, or you can be disappointed after you kill the whole fucking sleeve of Oreos, the whole fucking box of them, and you feel fucking awful afterwards and you break out and you fucking shit your brains out, whatever the case is. So you can choose, you make that choice every single time. You choose your disappointment, you choose your discomfort. The choice is yours every single time. And it's a skill to choose that disappointment in the moment and to choose to eat this thing in moderation and not binge on it and eat it like a normal person, no matter how bad you really want to fucking binge on it. Some more tips to actually practicing this skill is to like stop watching YouTube or whatever you do while you eat, like I was saying before. If you're fucking distracted, you probably find this, like maybe you're watching a YouTube video while you fucking go in the fridge and look for more food after you finish a meal, whatever, like, or you're talking to your friend, whatever, you're just distracted in some way, and you don't even realize what you're doing, you don't even realize it. Next thing you know, you ate like 600 extra calories, and you didn't even realize it because you were distracted. So be as present as you possibly can. That's going to be huge for practicing this skill and really like reinforcing these things in your head. And that just goes along with the whole eating habits overall. Like, be present with your meals. Go for a walk after you finish a meal. I talk about this all the time. I feel like I have to mention it here. Go for a walk after you eat a meal, or just get out of the kitchen, get out of your house, ideally. Get away from all food. While you're in the kitchen, it's going to feel like you're still hungry, even if you're not, even if you just ate a meal, especially right after, because it takes time for your hunger signals to actually fucking work, basically. I'm not going to explain that, but it takes time for that shit to fucking register. You probably noticed this. Maybe right after you finish a meal, you feel like you're not satisfied, you're not full. But then 10 minutes later, you're like, that shit hits you. You're like, oh fuck, I'm actually full. That's why I recommend go for a walk and get out of the kitchen, whatever you have to do there. Just remove yourself from the environment, and it's going to make that a whole lot easier. I'm getting cocked here. You guys can probably tell I'm talking for an hour straight here. But go watch my other videos. Seriously, watch How to Get Lean Year Round is the first one I made, I believe. How to Stay Lean Year Round, I mean. How to Deal with Hunger is another one that I talk about all this stuff in. I forget what else I've made, to be honest, but there's probably more. Watch all my short form videos. I talk about this stuff all the time. Let me see if there's anything else before I get to the last slide, which is also very important, so don't leave yet. But shout out to you if you made it all the way through. If you have, that means that you're probably fucking tired of this shit. So don't just like absorb or like see all this information and feel like good about yourself for watching it and feel like, yeah, I'm gonna change now. Actually fucking do it. Actually do the uncomfortable work, because anybody can watch this shit and feel good about the fact that they're trying to better themselves, which is great and you should, but only a select few people will actually do the work. And in this case, that work is figuring out the root cause and the identity shift, all that stuff, and most importantly, just being comfortable with getting uncomfortable and sitting through that urge, etc. So please don't overlook that. Like, just fucking actually do the work. But I don't know. I've gone on a million fucking tangents here, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything else, because again, I tried to put everything that I know about the shit, but there's so many other things. I learn new stuff about the shit every single day, pretty much, like with myself, with clients, etc., watching other people. But regardless, very important slide here. Be kind to yourself, man. The more harsh you are and the more stressed you are about this, and the more you beat yourself up over this shit, like, let's say you overate a little bit last night, you binge whatever. Like I've talked this already in this video, but the more weight that you put on that and the more you beat yourself up over it, the harder you're making this shit for yourself, basically. Jeez, I cannot talk anymore. But just be kind to yourself. This shit is not something that you fix overnight. It's a very, very bumpy road for a lot of people. You can go like weeks without any urges, without giving in to any urges, at least. Maybe not even having any urges. And then maybe suddenly you have urges galore. Like you can't get away from them. Or it can be the opposite. Maybe you have tons of urges at the start, which is usually what happens. It's usually the first few days or weeks are typically the hardest. And then from there it gets easier. And you just have to push through these things. But like, regardless, it's not linear. It's not just gonna be like this thing you change overnight and then you never do again. So just be kind to yourself and understand that. And understand that you're not gonna be perfect, and trying to be perfect is what's keeping you stuck in this cycle. It's keeping you with this all or nothing mindset. So stop trying to be perfect, be kind to yourself. Just chase progression rather than perfection. If, let's say right now you're binging every single day, try to move that to every other day, or try to minimize the magnitude of these binges. Maybe just like, I don't know, whatever that means for you. It's all arbitrary depending on the situation, but, or maybe you're doing it once a week, try to do it every other week. Try to decrease the frequency like that. Whatever you can do to progress is gonna serve you way more than trying to be perfect and trying to just change the switch overnight and never do this shit again. So be kind to yourself, be realistic with yourself, chase progression, not perfection. Understand that it's probably gonna get easier, and that you probably just have to sit through the discomfort at the start, and eventually it'll get easier, and you'll never know unless you fucking stick to that shit. Sorry, I don't think you guys can see this, but it says 101, which I think means an hour and 1 minute. I got worried that it fucking stopped there. I would have been pissed. Hopefully it didn't. It shows that it's still recording, I hope. But yeah, man, I could talk about all this shit forever. I'll probably make a part 2 about some of these different things. If you want me, if there's a specific thing in here that you want me to make a full video about, just comment below. Again, my DMs are open, guys. If you made it all the way to the end, you probably really struggle with this, and I want you to know you're not alone. I struggle with this shit as much as I want to feel like I don't and want to like act like I don't. I do, and it's embarrassing and it sucks, but what can you do, man? You struggle with it. Just don't let your ego get in the way. Just reach out to people, seek help, go see a therapist, go talk to your mom, talk to your friend, whatever you got to do. Talk to me if you want to. If you want to apply for coaching, I can try to help you with this thing. I'm not going to guarantee you that I can, because it's a very tough problem, but especially if it's really like disordered eating. But if it's just something that you kind of struggle with a little bit, there's a good chance I can help you out. Regardless, just feel free to DM me if you want. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Yeah, man. Fucking love you guys. You're not alone. DM me if you need help. Comment below what do you want to see next. Any questions you got. Leave a like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Yeah, man. Peace out.